thanks for having me, guys. Believe it or not, I've spent a lot of time in front of the camera, but this is my first large teaching engagement in front of my peers, so go on, easy on me today. Um, I just got to say, this is one of the best summits in the entire country, especially for a local place. I've been to pretty much every single one since 2016 when I moved here from Dallas, Texas. And I even have a great group of peers in the Mets section that will fly out, come to this event because it's just so good. Such great speakers. It's organized so well. It's just a pleasure to be here. So thanks for having me. I think through self-study, these types of summits, certifications, there's a lot out there on the science, the data, the premise that you should be teaching under. But I think that's undoubtedly important. And at the end of the day, how do you apply that? That's kind of the art. That's the creative juices that are flowing. And so I think we all obviously are very good at our craft and we've kind of honed our way. And I've never met a teacher that I've watched and not taken away some nugget from them, whether it was even a younger teacher that I'm trying to certify in my system, or it's Jim McLean or Mike Bender. All of them I've taken at least something away from. It's just been super beneficial. So I'm glad that they're trusting me to give a lesson today. Full disclosure, I've never met these people really. I just met one of them a second ago. I have no idea what their swing faults are. So it's just like someone walks in your door and says, hey, I signed up for a lesson. I'm Joe. Let's go. And our goal really is to obviously make them feel like they get value and really kind of guide them on their way, because as we all know, golf can be very difficult. It can be mysterious and elusive. And so providing clarity is really my big goal for all of the students that come to see me, whether they see me consistently or whether they see me once a year. And so as Randy was mentioning, I spent the first 8 years of my career with Jim McLean at PGA West originally. Brian Lebetovich was there. Shout out to Brian, great coach. Helped me a lot early on. And then after that, with McLean, he was really big. And even though he was very trusting in his own system, he's done a ton of research, 40, 50, 60 years. He was always a big advocate of go watch other teachers, go see someone else coach, go watch someone you disagree with. Because why are they still successful? There's something that they're doing that people like. Obviously, people are going to them. So I took that with stride. I spent a lot of time. My first year with Jim, I was his personal teaching assistant, so I had to watch every golf school, lesson, clinic, picked up a ton of stuff, obviously. Anything from the, New York, private club member in the winter coming down for a golf school where, they're just trying to get the ball in the air again in the spring, to Keegan Bradley going from the Hooters Tour to, winning a PGA championship not too much longer. Lexi worked with her a lot when she was 14, which was unbelievably impressive. She's hitting at 280 yards, I felt like. But from that, I branched out. I wanted to see, some other opinions, some other coaches. So I spent a lot of time with Mike Bender. He was tremendous, such a wealth of knowledge and just so giving as far as his information goes. So I would go out to Orlando, stay at a Motel 6. Don't recommend it. At the time, it was what I could afford, but I would take 2 hours of lessons from him, and then I would watch him for 2 days. And so that was really a great learning experience. Did that for several years. Same thing with Jim Hardy. Went to go see him. And, if you know anything about either of those coaches, they probably couldn't teach anything much different. You're never going to be fading it a whole lot when you see Mike Bender, and vice versa with Jim Hardy. But it was great to see how they've made all their students successful in their own regard. And then the late, great Jim Flick as well. He was tremendous. I got to see him at the Kingdom several times, and at La Costa. So, all differing forms of kind of what they believed in, how they communicated, and that to me just made me a better teacher. So hopefully today I can provide at least a couple nuggets that you can take home with you. I'm going to go through my process. It might be similar to yours, it might be different. That's okay. There's definitely not one way to do it, but I think the goal at the end of the day is we're all trying to make people better. We're trying to get better ourselves, and I think nothing feels better than we're with a student, the light bulb goes off, they see the improvement, you see the smile on their face, and then you're like, this is why I do this every day. So I'm ready for our first student. Is it James? Oh, it's you. Perfect. Okay, we've already met. So I did meet him. Yeah, thank you. You guided me out here. I found it. Um, so I'm just gonna, go back and forth a little bit. Obviously, normally in a lesson I wouldn't be, deteriorating from our conversation, but I think it's just important that, everyone can hear the thought process behind all this. And most importantly, you're here. I got a little background, but I'd love to hear a little bit more about yourself and just really truly why you're here and what your goals are. And if I was a genie and I could wave a magic wand, what would you like?
I spent 26 years in the Navy,
Thank you.
during that time, while I was serving, thank you. You don't have to do that. You got into fundraising, so I got into playing golf, helping out command and doing fundraising for
awesome.
Christmas parties and stuff like that. And got to my second hole in Barber's Point. Hit a nice shot, made my first birdie on a par 3 with a driver. And
Wow.
at the time, it seemed amazing, and that's how I got hooked. So
That's awesome.
I've been playing through my military career, self-taught, and this swing needs some help. So
Okay. So how many years would you say it's been since you started to now?
about 25 years.
Okay, so decent amount
I
of
was
time.
playing on active duty, so
You just look so young. I didn't know.
I'm 50.
Wow.
Yeah, thank you.
Whatever he's doing.
But yeah, I'm just self-taught, and now I have a PGA coach, Tony Chavez. Thank you, Tony. Got to put you on the spot.
Awesome. Yeah. So, I mean, you answered some of my questions. So, I usually have, and I might expedite some of this today because I think we do have a second student too. Because it just depends on how good of a coach I am here, how we get through this. But, typical stuff. So right now, I heard you're trying to pass your PAT. What's your current handicap, and what's been the trend lately with what you've been doing?
So I'm about an 8-3. I'm playing more like a 12
Okay.
right now. But my short game's really, really good. But I'm losing my swing at the top.
Okay.
And I have too many different thoughts that I put in my own head, and I just need to keep it clean because I like to collapse
Okay.
a lot. I used to see my driver head somewhere around here, so I have cleaned it up a lot. But it used to get out there. I'm not a big guy. I'm trying to keep up with longer hitters, so I'm very flexible and just try to time it
Okay.
up.
That's great. So some of the things you mentioned were questions I was already going to have. So sometimes you'll ask them some stuff, and they'll just kind of go, and you let them go, and that's their time to vet and explain, how they feel. And I think it's important to know things like he just mentioned, like I do this, and maybe he does, but we've also been in situations, I'm sure, with people that say, hey, I'm doing this, and they're not really doing that, or that's definitely not the main issue, right? So I think it's important to know what's in their head and maybe what they're focusing on. And you might see 5-10 swings and think like that's just their static swing, but that's also their swing with a thought. What if they change their thoughts? Is that swing still going to stay the same? What's going to happen? So as far as lessons go, with your coach, how long ago did you guys start? How often do you see each other?
We see ourselves periodically, but not a ton of lessons. It's more along the lines of that's my mentor, and I get as much as I can from him during that time.
Great. So
Yeah.
more on the professional side.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. So from the lesson taking side, have you had many lessons at all?
I've only had a couple, and they were here and there.
I remember you said
For the-
self-taught. So
For the most part, I went to a golf school in Temecula,
Okay.
and I learned a lot and inundated my brain with too many.
sometimes it's good and bad, right?
For
Yeah.
sure. So learning how to adopt what I want and not adapt everything.
Okay, that's great. And that's great information for me. I mean, I think he's a little bit different because he has, some knowledge. He's probably worked on a variety of things. But a lot of times if I get a student that's never had a lesson, certain changes are going to feel very uncomfortable. They've never really tried to push themselves outside the comfort zone. And so you have to be aware of that as far as either how to respond to what they're saying or just how much to actually change versus maybe the seasoned, whether it's a good player or not. We've seen the guy who's taking lessons from everyone under the sun. But at least they've worked on stuff. They understand terminology. All these types of things are things I want to know ahead of time so I don't overwhelm them and make it as easy as possible. Any physical limitations?
Nothing that matters for what we're doing. I'll feel it tomorrow and the rest of the week, but nothing that matters. I do have a few disabilities, but nothing that's gonna
Okay, cool.
work with my swing.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that's a great question. A lot of times people will downplay things that are actually pretty severe. At Studio Golf, we have on-site TPI people, so a lot of times they'll get a screen first, and when they walk in, I already kind of know what to expect. But regardless, it's important to ask. And along the way, if I see something, I might ask you a question like, "Does this hurt? Does this feel good, bad, etc." And then, what other sports growing up? Did you play anything else?
Played pretty much every intramural sport
Love
you
that.
could
Love that.
in the military. So tried out for the All Navy softball team, flag football,
Great.
everything. So I can play everything.
Good.
Yeah.
Ball stick sports are obviously great. Long distance running, swimming sometimes doesn't always correlate. Sometimes it does to golf. So that's great to hear. And then I think something that's really, really important and maybe not talked about enough is to ask realistically, how much time do you have to put into this? Because I think you can, doctor what you prescribe in a sense around their lifestyle, and you can push them, and that's part of being a coach and motivating them, et cetera. But, if you're trying to get someone to change to a level that they're not even really A, interested in, and B, don't have the time to do, it's usually going to be a disaster. So I'd rather have small steps that are successes than big ones that are failures. what's your current situation? You're obviously working a lot, but how often do you work on your game, and how much can you kind of commit to that?
I try to commit at least 3 days of hour and a half to 2 hours just working on my game, not playing. I probably play once every 2 weeks or as much as I can, but right now it's just work and
That's great.
yeah,
That's great with a full-time job.
and short
That's
game.
awesome. That's better than most. And then let's just talk about, you mentioned obviously full swing, so diving a little bit deeper, and I'll look at Arco stat or different things if they have it, but between, let's say, mid-irons and driver, what would you say is a bigger strength and what's a bigger weakness?
I would say that my long irons are probably get away from me a little bit more.
Okay.
I'm fairly good with my driver and
Okay,
woods.
so mid-irons would probably be the main, like
Probably.
4, 5, 6, 7
Yeah.
irons, somewhere in there. Awesome. And then what would you say is your main miss? You said get away from you, but like if you're out playing, we all kind of have the shot that comes into play when we're not playing well. What do you tend to get?
I'm definitely casting and then pulling it left.
Okay.
So
cool.
my miss is left now.
Is it a pull draw? Is it just a pull?
I think it's a pull draw, but I'll let you be the judge. You're
Yeah,
better than
no,
I am, for sure.
That's great, and that's helpful because a lot of times I'll ask people that, hey, what's your miss, and they'll tell me technically what they're doing wrong, but not necessarily what the ball is doing. And so we're about to obviously see. We have a TrackMan out here, so we're going to look at what the ball is doing, and really how I look at a golf swing, and we'll dive into everything. Is what are their goals, obviously, but within that, first off, what is the ball doing itself? So what's the launch direction? What's the carry? What's the curve? Those types of things, and then what's the club doing to the ball to cause that? So what's the path, what's the phase, what's the attack angle, what's the smash factor, contact point? And really those 5 imperatives are all that really matter to be a good ball striker. If you have a good attack angle, you're hitting the center of the face with speed and a good path and face where the face is in the right spot relative to the path, as we all know, doesn't necessarily need to be a draw or fade or straight or whatever, you're a good player. And so kind of really trying to figure out, what's the main thing that's off? Usually there's one, sometimes there's 2. But what's the main thing that's off that's maybe making them compensate on those other elements? So if the face is open, are they compromising their path to get the face better? Or their low point is back, are they changing something with their path to get the low point more forward? Really incentivizing the move you want is the key for that skill acquisition. Allison would know that. And just being able to commit to the change because it feels funny. And so if you can reward the move that feels funny at first, it's a lot easier for them to commit to it. And then sooner than later, it's going to actually feel pretty natural, and it's going to feel like the right thing to do. So let's step on in here. I'll get the attack. Let's grab. Let's go with the 6-iron. So higher handicap players, they usually start with an 8, mid 7, lower 6. It's like college tour player, maybe even a 5. And we're probably I might move this up just so I can film a little bit. So I'll probably have this go. I gotcha, yeah. I'll probably have this go right in here. So that way I can get a front on. I love all the range alignments, but it can be tough to film, as we all know sometimes. So target-wise, you see that yellow flag, doesn't have to get there or it can go past it, doesn't really matter, but that's just kind of the directional goal. And once I have them hit, I will then set up some alignment sticks and stuff, but just to see their alignment, their setup, I don't do that at first. All right, let me connect the TrackMan. Randy, you're going to be on TrackMan duty. Oop. Go ahead and warm up anyway. So yeah, as they're warming up, I'm just talking to them, keeping them relaxed, obviously looking at a lot of things without saying a lot of things. I think spent some time with Chuck Cook, and one thing he told me is like you can never unsay something to a student. They can't unhear it. So even if you're not going to work on that, probably don't mention that. Ignorance is bliss. They don't necessarily know what they don't know, so let's kind of keep it at that and keep it simple. All right. We were going to have a TV out here, but Randy thought he'd be better just yelling it at you guys, so we're going to go about that route. All right, let me actually double check the target. All right, that should be about the right spot. I've been spoiled being in the studio. We never have to set anything up, so I need to get a little bit better at this. That's the perfect spot to hit from, though. Dang, it's hard to see this. Okay. Cool. So, as far as numbers go, path, face, attack angles, smash factor, club speed, those are kind of the 5 that I really care about. And then I'm also obviously looking at the ball stuff. So how far offline it is, curve, carry, launch direction, stuff like that. Here you go. Okay, cool. How typical is that shot shape for you?
Not.
Not typical.
I'm definitely nervous. I can feel it in my hands.
I'm nervous too. Don't worry about it.
I'm a little shaky. There's a lot of people I respect in this crowd, and I'm just trying to hit a good shot.
Well, remember, if you had a good shot, it's your fault. If you had a bad shot, it's my fault. So don't worry about it. And so don't worry about it. And any actual thoughts right now that are going through your head, like take it away this way, grip it this way, turn to the target. Anything that's going on in your head?
Just hit the ball well.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just in my head right now.
No, this is, to be honest though, it's actually great to see. I think we've all been there, right? Where a student comes in, they're like, on the course this was happening, they come in and it's a little bit better, and you're like, it doesn't seem that bad. You know, myself included, nerves definitely bring out bad habits. I think we all know that, and so. You know, normally maybe his path is a little bit one way than the other. Maybe now it's a little bit more accentuated. All that means is that, you know, making these changes is going to make it that much better. So, perfect. Let me know when you're starting to feel a little more warm. We'll start to film a couple. I like to get a good sample size. You know, I like to get 7 at least, maybe 10 to 12 on TrackMan or Foresight or whatever you use. I like to look at the standard deviation. So, you know, how much of it is that particular swing, how much of it is a pattern, and you know, kind of focusing on the strategic move from there. Nice. You're getting better. Getting better. All right, give me a couple more. I'll start filming. What are we seeing? We're not getting a ton of path, are we? Sometimes with the divots, a little tough. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Nice. I'm getting there. Yeah, 100%. It's a beautiful day. Warm up, hang out. Good question. I should have mentioned that. The target line is the yellow flag, which is very hard to see now. I picked it earlier, but now you can't see it as easily. But so right now I'm looking at some of these numbers. In general, club path is going to be kind of the main thing that I'm seeing. It's probably what you guys are seeing too. You know, they've varied a little bit, but probably averaging around 6 degrees outside in, depending on the face. Obviously, it's a pull, which is kind of what he was mentioning before, probably. So more of a path issue than a face issue for the left shots. And, you know, I'm looking a lot at attack angle, too. I think and it's talked about for sure, but I don't hear it a ton, is, you know, low point is obviously, in my opinion, the most important thing that anyone can have. If you're hitting way behind it, or less common, but way in front of it, it doesn't really matter how good anything else is. And so a lot of times if a player has a low point that with a good path would be behind it, it's easy to get the low point forward by having an outside in swing path. And so I'm always looking at, is their swing path and attack angle making sense? So his path is on that one 7 out to in, but the attack was 6 and his smash was 4-2, which is really good. So what I would be worried about is if his path was -7 and let's say his attack angle was 0. That means if I get that club a little more inside, he's going to be drop kicking it all day long. So not wanting to make the change. Really good. Couple more, okay? I'm going to film a couple. Let me see here. Here we go, Randy, sorry. So pretty consistent pattern, which makes sense. He's a good player. You're a good player. You're a very good player. So I'm just going to get a couple front-ons here. Oop, there we go. Hold on one second. Okay. Great. And then I'm going to couple down the lines. And when I worked for McLean, I mean, he was absolutely emphatical about just making sure you're on perfect alignments with perfect camera angles. That was so important. So normally I would be a little bit more dialed in with this. However, I will say the advent of TrackMan and Foresight have made it a little bit easier to not have to be as precise to see the path and face. But when you're comparing video, you definitely want to make sure that you're comparing apples to apples. And I think that's something that is sometimes overlooked. So.
Hey, Devin, what video platform do you use?
You know, good question. I've used it all. We started with JC Video, then I used V1 for a long time. I really like OnForm a lot. But what's really, for us, been a game changer at the studios is Sportsbox AI. So it just makes it very easy to quantify things. And, you know, at our studios, very nice. Most of our students are actually practicing there, so I can tell them what numbers to look at, and you can kind of be their own coach, which I think is great. So very good. All right, couple more, and we'll dive into it. So pretty consistent small pull now, but he's getting obviously a little more relaxed. You can see he's a really good player. You can see a lot of good things happening. So I'm liking what I'm seeing. And then I'll just get one more from back here. Hold on 1 second. Cool. All right, so you know, typically there'd be either a larger screen or whatever, and I'd be walking side by side from them. But you know, I think it's really important to kind of understand what's happening first to the ball. So ball flight wise, what would you say in your own words is happening right now?
I'm just not.
Just the ball though, not you.
It's just a.
I would say your good ones are what, like little pull?
Yeah, little pull.
Little pull. That's kind of what he walked in saying. So he knew what he was doing. I agree with some of the things you said in your swing. So, but before we look at the swing itself, let's look at what we're trying to improve. What we're trying to improve, I would say, is consistency of contact and a little bit more neutral path. I would probably challenge you in practice to almost try to get your path to be the opposite a little bit. That way, when you play, if you are a little nervous, you're in a section event, you know, in your case, trying to pass the PAT, you don't deviate back. And that's something that I'm a huge proponent of. We see it on tour with players rehearsing things. I mean, they're very, very accentuated. That way, when they're kind of turning the brain off, they're going to be in a little bit better spot normally and not regress as much. So, so what's causing the pull? From your, you know, you're studied professional here. What's going on? Do you think?
I think my biggest problem as a coach is I see other people, but seeing what I'm doing, that's what I need the help with. Because I feel like most, you know, amateur golfers are trying to figure things out. What you feel is different than what someone else is saying. So I feel like I'm just trying to make clean contact with it.
Yeah.
I'm doing bad things as soon as I get to the top.
Okay. Yeah, and so all good points. He's mentioning more swing mechanic stuff, and so we'll get to that in just a second. I guess I more mean specifically what's happening to make the ball go left. So there's really two things that are happening, right? Either it's path and face, or it could be just face. In your case, it's mostly path. Face is a little bit close sometimes with that path, which is what keeps it to the left, but I think the path is the main issue. So let's go ahead and take a look at the video. I always like to look at, okay, the ball's doing this, the club's doing this, what is the body doing? Sportsbox is great at that. It can show me how much rotation he has, how much sway he has, turns, tilts, rotations, hinges, etc. For us, it's nailing down the couple things that are kind of causing it, the root cause. As I mentioned earlier, I'm always going to look at setup first. That's very easy to fix. It's not in motion. You know, that's the easiest way to kind of do it. But a lot of times it's more than just that. So what's actually causing him to be outside in? And to me, what I'm kind of seeing before I look, and I always try to kind of do this because I think it's a good exercise in general, is, you know, I really just see that his upper body is not trailing his lower body long enough, and it's kind of taking over coming through, which is getting him to be a little bit outside in. And so some of that's stemming from the backswing and just getting a little bit too much tilt that way. So let's take a look at the video. So from this side, kind of see it there. See everything okay? Cool. So, and I'll actually do this. I might move a little bit, but you can kind of watch it. So I think it's important, too, for players to see their swing in full speed a few times as well, just kind of see the tempo and what's going on and that type of stuff. So I'm showing them down the line first. I mean, you're a coach. That's a pretty good takeaway, huh? That's about as spot on as it gets. I definitely like to make positive comments when they're obvious, right? I mean, there's so many things that people can critique themselves on. But, you know, the golf swing is tough, and having wins is huge. So, and this is maybe what you're kind of referring to a little bit, just getting a little bit long.
Yep.
Great. And then this is kind of where I'm kind of seeing the issue is see how everything's a little bit more through your neck coming down. And so he's kind of getting the club. Going back, not bad. Definitely longer than I'd like. I'd like him to feel a little bit more body, a little less arms and hands. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing in his swing. It's more arms and hands on the backswing and then a little bit more body coming down, especially upper body. And that's just a recipe to be a little bit outside in. So coming down, you can see it's over that line. Face is actually a little open there too, which you've probably just derived from, you know, trying not to hit it as far left. And then coming through, you can see the path is kind of going over there. And then notice how your right foot's basically still down. So what I like to work with you on, let me take a look at the front on real quick, and then we'll dive into this. Any questions from anyone in the crowd so far? Yeah, I think we got to firm him up a little bit at the top for sure. You know, it's interesting. It's to me, there's kind of two different engines in the swing. There's the body engine, there's the arms and hands engine, and both of those create length, speed, etc. And so if one is going to be passive, the other one's going to be aggressive. And really what I'm saying with him is, especially from the lower body standpoint, and I'll try to pull up some numbers here so people can see it, because that's always what I'm looking at is, how much is his upper and lower body rotating early on in the swing. And if he's not moving that, he's going to have to use something else to go back. And usually less body, more arms and hands is when people get pretty long. So that's a great question. I think if we can add some body and firm up the arms and hands, that's going to put him in a pretty good spot. All right, so let's just take a quick look here. So front on down the line. He's a stronger grip for sure. I don't hate that at the moment. I mean, I'd rather change less than more right now. I mean, if he's struggling with pulls and pull fades, I'd rather it be a little bit too much of a draw. If we get him into out, definitely incentivizes that. As time goes on, if he started to get a little more inside out and would overdraw it, I might neutralize that grip out a little bit. But I think for now, I'm going to kind of keep it. Because you have to prioritize, right? There's only so many things you can tell somebody. You have to prioritize. It doesn't mean you have to fix it all at once, but you have to fix it in a matching form. Whatever you fix, it has to, when they do it correctly, create no reward. All right, so let's watch the rest of this. And now, really what I'm looking a lot here with us, so you kind of see how that looks. So you're right in a lot of things that you do. So what's going to feel probably very short to you is going to be, pretty good. It's going to put us in a good spot. But we're just having a little bit too much arm and hand action going back. Not bad coming down. And then because of your path, that's why you have kind of that chicken wing look, just to try to prevent the pull. So, yeah. So for us, what we're going to try to work on today is we're going to try to get the body to be a little bit more active, and especially the upper body trying to be more active back, less active down. I mean, I think for anybody that can understand what the body's doing, if you want to fade it more, you'd have less rotation back, more rotation through, and if you want to draw it more, you'd have more rotation back, less rotation through with the upper body. That's going to make it a lot easier to fix the path. So I'm always going to look at setup first. Is that causing it? In his case, not really. I might move the ball back like an inch, just because it's going to make it a little bit easier to want to come from the inside and still make good contact. A more shallow downswing obviously shallows the impact, so the ball further back steepens it. It kind of meshes it pretty well. But aside from that, I'm going to keep it. I'm going to make sure his alignment's good, obviously. But really, I think a lot of it is understanding what the body needs to do in the swing. So let me line you up here. But we're going to do some body drills first. Working for McLean, I mean, he was really big on what was called the elimination theory, and that's basically just having small successes and then building on that. So what we're going to do first is just work on no club, no ball, just the body. How's it work? You have belt loops in those pants?
Yes, I do.
Perfect. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to use these to put it through our belt, put this on our shoulders. And so really what I want us to do, this is great for a lot of reasons, and you can tweak it for different things, obviously, depending on what you're trying to do. But for us, I think it's going to give him a good reference of how much his shoulders are turning, how much his hips are turning, and leave a little bit on the side. But then also it's going to allow him to understand when his upper body outraces. So for him, he tends to kind of get this way. This is obviously a very steep over the top move. We're going to try to feel the exact opposite. His chest is going to kind of stay back to the target, a little Justin Rosey kind of feel. Unwinding the hips, he might have the ability, but probably hasn't felt that separation a lot. And then coming through trying to tap the sticks lightly. And when I say lightly, because if he taps it aggressively, his upper body's speeding up too much at the wrong time. These are all great things you can look at in sports box. Because I don't have a screen, I don't want to talk about it too much. But this is kind of what we're going to try to do. Back to the target, unwind the hips, and feel like the shoulders just barely tap that. Now, if he's in this position, a lot easier to come from the inside. So even if his path was, let's say, 6 or 7 originally, without maybe even changing anything with the rest of the swing, I bet you we could get it to at least half that or more. And then we'll try to, with the better body motion, reduce the amount of arm and hands going back. So yeah, just put it through. Perfect. Like right there should be good. Perfect. And then leave a little bit right here. Cross your arms. There you go. And let's face the crowd. All right, looking good. All right, go ahead and get into your golf setup. Perfect. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to go back and make a nice full shoulder turn and just show me what that would look like to you. It's great. Looks pretty good, right, guys? Set up there again. All right, now I want you to do the same thing. I don't want you to do it looking at this ball. So what I've noticed over the course of time is whenever I have someone do body drills, A, they usually don't bend over enough. They always stand up too tall. And then secondly, they kind of go with their body. So to make it, carry over more to a real shot, I want the ball to be down there. That's great. Can you give me a little more shoulder turn? Can you look at the ball still? All right, so you might have a little bit of neck limitation potentially. Let's do a couple more. Let's go a little slower though. Go ahead and take your setup from the very beginning. Yeah, always start from the beginning. That way it's kind of bend forward a little bit more. Perfect. Try to get these to align. There you go. Awesome. All right, so what I'd like you to try to do now is I'd like you to try to turn your shoulders and touch my hand. Awesome. Really good. Give me 3 more of those. Go a little slower so you can really feel it. Good. One more time. Awesome. And when you do that, go back one more time. You just want to feel like, because this is one thing I did see on the video, let's get your upper body a little more over your right foot. There you go. How would you describe what that feels like there compared to that?
Very nice.
Feels very nice. Okay. I rarely hear that. Usually it feels terrible.
No, it does feel comfortable. But
Yeah.
I do have a problem.
Okay. Yeah, this should make it a little bit easier for you. So there you go. Let's do a couple more. And then what you can do too, depending on how much you want the upper chest to move or move less or more, just put something on the ground. So I'm going to accentuate this a little bit. Try to slowly match this stick with the stick on the ground. There you go. So you can see you got him to move over a little bit more. And that might be a little excessive in reality, but I doubt at full speed he's going to be doing that. Great. Perfect. Anything you're noticing? Anything you're feeling? Press your toe.
It's definitely a different motion.
Okay. So that's kind of step one. Step two, what I want us to try to feel is how long can you keep your back facing me? All right. So if you're there and you're going to start your downswing, put a little pressure on your left foot, kind of move your body towards me a little bit. Now unwind your hips. Good. Pretty good for this first time. Keep turning. Keep turning. Keep turning. Look down. Where's the ball? There you go. And then try to tap the sticks. Good. Make it a little bit easier for you. There you go. Let's do that again. That was great. Really good for your first time. A lot of times people can't disassociate right away, so that was really, really good. Great. Shift towards me. Go back. Shift towards me. All right. Now unwind your hips. Unwind your hips more. Get off your back foot. Perfect. Don't let this cross. So this is going to be a drill I'm going to give him, whether he gets it perfectly now or not. He's doing an awesome job of, hey, I want you to try to do at least 25 of these a day. You know, it sounds like he has a lot of time. You know, maybe in between, you know, studying or whatever you're doing, just throw a few of these reps in, just like anything else, like you're doing sit-ups or something before a Vegas trip, you know, and try to get prepped. So go ahead, take your setup. We'll do a couple more. Awesome. Put your weight towards me. Unwind your hips. Get off your back foot. Perfect. Look down at the ball, though. So this is the goal. It doesn't have to be there today. This is awesome. Isn't this a lot different, guys? Good job. All right. So what would you say the main difference you felt there? I would say, in my words, which could be not what you're feeling, a lot more upper body back, a lot more lower body down.
Yes, and a lot more
Side bend.
inside.
Do you know what that's called? Yeah, side bend. Side bend needs to match rotations. And a lot of times if someone's too outside in, they're going to have enough rotation but not enough side bend. And so that's obviously something we find with PGA Tour players that at impact, generally if Rory's 30 degrees open with his shoulders at impact, he's going to have about 30 degrees of side bend. Less side bend steeper, more side bend shallower. We see kids get a ton of side bend early. Keep coming, keep coming. Oh, you passed it. Try not to pass. So this is feedback-based learning too, which I'm really big on. I think it's so important. And what I found, you know, just teaching at whether it's golf schools, ranges, private clubs, et cetera, is that at the end of the day, everyone wants to get better. And a lot of times they'll actually put in the work a lot more than I think we give them credit for, but they don't necessarily know if they're putting in the right work. They might think they are. They might be at the range 5 times. They come back and, you know, the swing's worse than when they left, which really doesn't make sense. If they leave you and their path is +2 and they come back and it's -6 after practice for 5 hours, kind of odd. Obviously, it's not their intention. It's just, you know, a feedback situation. So give me 1 or 2 more and we'll move on here. Back, shift a little bit. Good, turn, turn, turn. Get off your back foot. Hold. Look down. Hold for 5 seconds. Close your eyes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Great job. Give him a hand. That was really good. Really, really good. All right. You can take that out now. Awesome. And then from there, I'm just going to build a station. So I'm just going to build a path station. You know, I'm going to have you have some light sense of what we just did. So I'm going to create a target line, which is going to be right here. Take this over here. And then really the goal today is let's just see if we can get the path to be closer to 0. And in a perfect world, I would absolutely love it if we could get you to hit a draw. And by draw, I mean a shot that starts right and curves left, not starts left and curves left. So, tees, here we go. And generally always, you know, depending on the player, but almost always for new movements, tee the ball up. And then kind of progressively make it harder and harder. So, all right, come on over here. So go ahead and set up to that tee and that ball. Perfect. Ball position will just go, let's kind of make it nice and even, which I think that's pretty good. All right. So this is going to be kind of his visual for his path on the downswing. It's obviously extreme. TrackMan will tell us if it's actually extreme, and I think that's something that a lot of our own players are like, man, that just seems like so much. But as we know, it's like what's actually happening when you're swinging, what's actually happening on the golf course. Awesome. And so what I'm going to have us try to feel is just like we're making a full turn back, but our arms and hands are going half. Okay? We're halfway back with a full turn. So go and take your setup there. Basic stuff, tees, balls, alignment sticks. You obviously get a lot done with that. I'm a big fan of training aids, but I'm also a big fan of stuff that people actually have, they'll take with them, they'll actually use in front of other people. All right, so if I was to tell you, go ahead and make a backswing and try to feel like your club goes about halfway back compared to normal. Great. From here, unhinge a little bit. Now can you turn a little bit more like you did before? Awesome. Look down. Straighten your arm. Perfect. How would you that's fine. How would you describe this feel?
Very far away from my body.
So wider, probably? Okay. Hands in front of your shirt buttons. So when we turn back, I just want you to think hands in front of the shirt buttons. So if he doesn't turn, he's obviously going to have his hands behind him. Or if he doesn't have the arms in front of him, he's going to know. Cool. Step back up. Hands in front of the shirt buttons. So go ahead and turn, and then stop, hands in front of the shirt buttons. Good. I got you. I'll watch. Perfect. Give me 3 more. Just trying to give him the feel of the body kind of leading, like your belly button's turning to start the swing. That was really good. Hands in front of the shirt buttons. Great job. And so it's going to be kind of the feel of, think of this as like the hub, and this is the inside of the wheel. This is kind of moving the outside. So if I said to start to turn your stomach, look down, turn your stomach. Good. Awesome. So this is our goal right here. I'm sure everyone else is pretty sure, in the full swing, you'll probably go further than that, and that's fine. You don't necessarily have to have, a John Rahm length backswing, but it might feel like that to get it, away from being a little excessively long. So what I'm going to have us do now is I'm going to have us go back like that, pause, come through, and just try to clip this tee when you come down. So go back and pause. Great. Come down, hit the tee. Amazing. Hit the tee. Great backswing. Let me see it again from this side. Good job. Nice. 2 more. Great. Last one. John Rahm backswing, hands in front of the chest. Stop. Swing to me. Beautiful. Cool. All right, so step 2, what we're going to do, that was really good going back. We're going to work a little bit on the path now. So what I'm going to try to do is make it kind of step by step and then blend it all together. So obviously it's not too jerky, but he's kind of got to understand where he's going to be at the top and then where he's going to be halfway down. If he's good halfway down, I have a pretty good sense that he's going to hit some good shots. So trade me spots real quick. Go ahead and go right here. So as I kind of mentioned, you did a great job there. We're really trying to feel like the inside of the body is moving the outside. So what would you consider this? Is this more my body or my arms and hands going back? Arms and hands, right? And you need a healthy blend of both. In your case, you need to feel way more body and way less arms and hands. The arms and hands are kind of working overtime here. Body's been lazy. So body's going to feel like it's moving first. You kind of see how it's moving it together, almost like the button of the club's facing my stomach. Kind of even feel a little bit of this kind of sensation as you start. And really from here, what I want us to practice doing is coming down and trying to match the club with the line on the ground. Now, this would be excessively inside. But considering we're typically out here, I think we'll probably find that kind of happy medium, happy balance. And the TrackMan will tell us. And the more you exaggerate it, guess what? The less you have to think about it, the more you can go play, the more you can work on scoring, the more you can work on short game. So I'm a big advocate of trying to kind of overlearn it, and then if you have to go back, you can. So body first, halfway down, swing through. Put it together, just like that. Make sense? Cool. All right, take your setup there again. Ball middle. Great. So inside moves the outside. Start to turn the stomach. Look at the ground, though. Terrific. Great job. All right, from here, start down. Slow down, slow down. Good. Are these matching? There you go. And then when you practice it, you don't have to think about this when you hit, but when you practice this, just try to feel like the toe is at least up and down, if not even a little in front. Does that make sense? Yeah. Cool. Let's do that again. So small turn. Beautiful. Slowly halfway down and pause. Awesome. Great job. And so I'll generally, without really telling them, kind of just move them, have them feel certain things. And again, I'm not expecting all of this to happen. I'm really much overdoing it, understanding that at full speed, in front of people especially, which is impressive you're even able to do this right now. Certain things are obviously going to deteriorate, and then we can just base it on the actual data, which is what the TrackMan tells us and what the sports box tells us, and we can kind of go from there. All right, give me one more like that. And really, when you practice and you hit in general, I want you to do 2 of those before every shot, and then hit. So what do you think? Tell me about it. How is it? That's pretty good. Face is how's the face? There you go. So kind of that PXG down a little bit more. Good job. All right, I'm going to guide you on this one, and then we're going to make it a little more fluid. So I think we have kind of the positional idea down, and it doesn't have to be perfect. That's a big thing to understand. Go ahead and step back up. Go ahead and step back up. Perfect. I'm going to do this one with you. Good. All right, so inside moves the outside. Body moves back. Body, 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 body. Look down, though. Look down. Great. Start down. Hold on. Relax, relax. Is it matching? It's okay. Good. And then from here, come on through. How you just did? That was really good. So what we're going to do now, I'm just going to kind of test it and see. I'm going to have you make a couple swings. I'm going to film it. We'll take a look, see the difference. And I just want you to try to make that same swing without a pause and clip the tee. So your goal is that backswing, hands in front of shirt buttons, and coming down, the goal is going to be what? Trying to match that club. Yeah, there's some faith. Beautiful. I like how many rehearsals you're making. Kind of start the student with this feel of like these rehearsals are absolutely necessary, and then from there, they're going to kind of feel like they need to do it. All right, on this next one, I just want you to do it all in one motion. Was that more inside out? Ton. And then from there, once the motion, like the general motion is there, then we fine tune it and make sure the contact's there. I almost never have a student after that immediately have a ball down there. I want to make sure, can he hit a tee? Can he swing between two tees? Can he hit the ground? If he can do that, I have a little more confidence if I put a ball down, it'll help. And then I still put it on a tee. He sees the ball start right to left. His brain says, I don't like talking about this in front of you because I feel like you know more of this than I do. But in my opinion, his brain's going to say, okay, I got rewarded for that. Even though it felt different, that's the move. That's what I want to do. And so I'm trying to negate having too many poor shots with something that's a new feeling. So let me see that again. All the way back. Slowly start down. Beautiful. Swing to my hand. And good. Hold. Go to right here. Go to right here. And then turn your PXG to the ground. Good. Do that again. And so these are obviously all draw feels. And the amount of change that he's going to have is probably going to be 20% of what we're feeling. Good. Down. Come to my hand. BXG down. BXG down. Good job. BXG down. Good. Now make that a little more fluid. That's beautiful. Beautiful. You feel that would create some speed? Yeah, absolutely. So before, when your path is 6, 7, 9 outside in, having a lot of release is generally not going to be very beneficial. It's just going to make you pull the ball more. So now that the path is better, and somewhat instinctively, as long as your arms and hands are a little more relaxed, you're going to have some pretty good release there. So everything feeling okay? Cool. All right, I'm going to have you start hitting some tees. If those are good, then I'm going to have you start hitting some shots. All right, one rehearsal, and then we're just going to go and hit each time without a pause. So good setup. Beautiful. One rehearsal, halfway down, a little more. How's the toe? Good. And now go through. BXG's where? Good. Cool. All right, now do it all in one motion. Awesome. Awesome. Same thing, one more time. Maybe a couple more times. We're just trying to clip this tee with the same motion you just had. Great. A little shorter on the backswing. Hands in front of shirt buttons, clip the tee. Great swing path. That was longer, though. It's a little shorter. It's okay. And if it's a difficult thing to go back that short, just go back about half as fast. Good. That was so good. I love that. Couple more. You have the TrackMan app? Perfect. Awesome. Can you get that tee, though? Try to see if you can knock that out of the ground. No ball. Yeah, you got to earn it. He's got to earn it. If you can hit the tee, and then still scoot 1 inch to your left, play the ball a little more middle. Nope, this way. There you go. Yep, perfect. So as his path's more into out, his low point's moving back, I want to make sure that the ball contact is still pretty good with the ground. Tremendous path. You got to get that tee, though. Go a little shorter still, okay? A little slower, a little shorter. Awesome, love it. Couple more. Not bad. Give me one rehearsal. Amazing. Was that a better path, guys? Much better. Super good. Super impressive. And I'm pushing you. As everyone here can see, this is very accentuated. This is very inside out. You're feeling, obviously, for you, super short. And it doesn't, it's an old saying, but Rome wasn't built in a day. You don't have to go from being pretty long, like you were saying, to just being, just short of parallel right away. It takes time, which is fine. But let's take a look at the video. I'm always a big fan of showing, obviously the successes. You're probably feeling, some things that you really haven't felt a lot before. And let's just take a quick look. It's making the 3D stuff now. We can actually just skip to 2D only. Cool. All right. You see everything okay? All right. So do you remember before, on the downswing, did your club go over or under that line? On the downswing, did it go over it or over it, right? But quite a bit, yeah? Moved a little bit. So definitely shorter. But what I love is how good that is. What do you think, Randy? Is that good? Will that work? Perfect. Perfect. Fantastic. Absolutely. And you hit the tee too. And see how you're swinging out? Is there any chicken wing anymore? No, absolutely. Fantastic job. And so really, and I'm not going to have it to be quite the extent because I know you guys are just watching, but, I would typically have him then probably do a couple body drills again, make sure that that's intact, hit a couple shots, and just kind of rotate until I see success, and then start to move some of the stuff out of the way if I'm seeing more and more success. All right. Go ahead and set up again. We'll do one more, and then we'll start hitting some shots. Some might be better than others. Not a big deal. Remember, if it's a bad shot, it's me. If it's a good shot, it's you. So ball right in the middle. Inside moves the outside, so slowly start to turn, stop. All right, halfway down. Good. PXG. Perfect. Shake it out. Good PXG out here. All right, go ahead. If you can hit this tee, we're going to hit the next. We're going to hit a ball. I have faith. They have faith. Let's do it. Awesome. And you can really see him thinking, which in this case I think is good. Obviously on the golf course is not what I'm going for. And I'll have a lot of times a conversation with people who's like, hey, feel this a couple times, and then when you swing, focus a little bit more on target, focus a little more on process. Think box, play box, however you want to think about it. But all right, feel okay? Yeah. All right, go and take your setup. I'm going to guide you one more time. And we're going to hit 3 in a row just because it takes a few. And then we're going to check out the path. Number one goal here is path. Ball scoot this way 1 more inch. Nope, other way. Yep. Take your setup. All right, body first. Body, 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 body. Hands around the shirt buttons. All right, come down. PXG. Got it? Shake it out. Cool. All right, nice smooth swing here. Just going for contact. Just go ahead and clip that tee. That's really our only goal here. And let's see what we got. Awesome. Don't watch your swing as you swing. I'll watch it for you. They'll watch it for you. Swing path was great. I don't know if it picked it up or not. And I might have to reset with where he's at the target line. Go ahead. All right. Oh, he's a little shallow, so I'm going to play the ball even a little more back for a second. Not bad, though. Keep going. All right, and this is the time, this happens in lessons sometimes, where the student starts to hit some shots that obviously aren't as good as when they came in, and that's where you really have to show them the video, show them what's changing, what's better. So certain things are very good. We are coming in a little bit, what's called too shallow, so the club's just a little bit low first. So I'm going to have us try to focus on doing what we're doing. Go ahead and take your setup there. And I just want you to do the same thing, but try to take a little bit of a divot, okay? So that should steepen them out a little bit. Awesome. That feel okay?
Yeah.
What was the difference you feel like between that swing and the swing before?
I don't know if it's just trying to line up the shaft with the stick.
It could be. That definitely gets you more inside, which we were achieving.
Yeah, I feel like a little more free.
A little more free?
Having to focus on that part of it.
I like that. All right. Go ahead and take your setup there again. All right. I'm just going to realign this target line 1 second. Cool. All right, same thing. I just want you to try to do your very best to take a divot. Same thing we were just doing. Any divot? No divot. So try one more. Give me a divot. And then if on this one it wasn't, what I was looking for, I'd probably get in there with him, actually move, have him hit the ground, get the contact back on track. So that was great. That was great. From down the line, looked pretty good, right? So even though there's a ball there, I still want you to try to just make the same divot you just made. Even if it's too much divot, no big deal. Same feel. Okay, let's try it again. Let's do a couple little half shots here. Go ahead and take your shot up there. Doing great. Really good. Swing path is much better. We just got to get the contact good. All right, stay there. All right. Show me the backswing. Turn, 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 turn. Good. Downswing. Good. Go ahead and go back on this one. And I just want you to hit the ball like 50 yards. Scoot 1 inch to your left, though. Good. I just want you to go back and pause and slowly come down and just try to hit the ball. We'll go to about right here. Yeah. All right. And then just try to hit about 50 yards down the range. There we go. There we go. I feel a little more solid. Very. Unbelievable. Positive 10 path. I would say that's an improvement. Not that we need it to be that much. And part of the ones earlier, which is on me, that were actually, topped or whatever, was because you almost improved too much, which is a great place to be at. Because I can almost guarantee if I was just like, okay, I'm going to walk away and just hit balls for 10 minutes, your path would probably gravitate a little bit steeper because that's how you came in, and then the path would neutralize and contact would be better. So let's just hit a few more. I want to make sure that you see this pattern. That's really, really good. I love what I'm seeing here. So just like that last one, same thing. Wow. Oh, boy. That's all you, baby. Dude. And honestly, you're able to do this in front of like 100 people, just learned it, didn't get lessons before, so obviously he's not used to doing a lot of stuff. That is super impressive. I have a ton of respect for you. That is very, very difficult to do. And honestly, it just says a lot about your talent level. Because it's very hard, as we all know, A, to swing in front of anybody, but B, to do something that feels new and uncomfortable and et cetera. And you completely, that was, excuse my language, that was fucking impressive right there. That was 2.4 into out, 0.1 face, 4.6 attack angle, 1.39 smash factor, 2 inches offline. I mean, you can't beat that. That is incredible. So, and what you did, which is great, and why a lot of people don't get better, is you were able to withstand sometimes the tough part of hitting some bad shots. And it's like a lot of things. It's like if you can't go through that tough stuff, and you've probably gone through it more than anybody, it's very difficult to actually get what you want. And so I think in golf, just like in life, if you can withstand that, the possibilities are endless. And you can kind of keep working on each area of the game. But that is an incredible, incredible change. Just to wind down, since it is kind of a live lesson, what I would suggest for you when you practice, I would put a stick out right here. I would create the same station we did. I would do some with the club on the ground because it did change his path a lot, almost too much. And that's the other thing. Sometimes when players are, newish or haven't taken a lot of lessons, sometimes they can really overcorrect, which is unusual. A lot of times players don't correct enough. But in your case, which is a good sign, you're almost overcorrecting. And with that being said, you do need to have some feedback. So this would be the station I would set up. I would do 2 practice swings each time. Your goal is to start every ball to the right of this. With your grip and with your wrist angles at the top, you'll have no problem with the ball coming back. You'll find the face a lot better. And then after you do 2 of those, I would move the stick and hit again. And then I would do 2 body drills. Awesome. Go through. Beautiful. Now put it all together. Hold your finish on this one. Awesome. I mean, we can all see the body motion is changing, the path is changing. I think the hardest part for you is going to be getting the club to not get as long. So I would also do some stop and goes. Stop and goes mean you go back and you pause. You can, no matter what, you're like, I can check, I can stay here for 10 minutes if I want. I know I'm going to be good. And then after you hit enough shots from there, you're going to start to get a little more comfortable. And I think you'll feel like, hey, I can get a lot more speed from my body. I get a lot more speed from my arms and hands now because I'm into out. I'm not so outside in. And you might not feel like you have to go back quite as far. Obviously, that's people have poor sequence. People maybe don't have a good release style. It's easy to want to get really long because it feels like the only way they're going to get any speed. So I can see you learning. I can see the wheels moving. I can see the body motion improving. And so this station works super, super well for you. And then I would do the body drill where you put the stick through the belt loops as much as possible, focusing on fully finishing with your legs, fully getting off all the way to that right toe, feeling like your upper body never passes your lower body. And I think this will be a piece of cake for you in a little bit. So great job. Excellent work. Yeah. Questions for me?
No, I'm good. I really appreciate the lesson and the patience. It is tough because I am aspiring to be like the crowd. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. You absolutely crushed it. You stuck with it. You made a huge change in a very short period of time in front of a ton of people, which says a lot, man. Great job.
So Devan, after you had that success, which we all look for when they
Yeah.
did that one success, did you tell them like how much do they have to, and when it becomes I can get into the more target and play golf mode? So like a plan,
Yeah.
you'd say, okay, I got to see you the next 3 weeks, the next.
Yeah. Great. I mean, first off, I tell them, hey, this is just a taste of what it could be. I'm glad you got it, so that it makes it a little bit easier to sometimes go through the times where things aren't just great, and that's at the beginner level, your level, or even a tour player level. We all have that time, but if they can kind of see the light in the end tunnel, which I think you just did there, even the one before it was hit really hard too. It's just you didn't have the face on the one before, so. I really want to I think also with that, then their confidence goes up. Usually you get quite a few more good shots as well. Once I feel like it's a little bit more contained, then I might go into more of like how you would take that to the course. But, I think with something that's that much of a change, I would just really be focused on their practice station, really the entire, almost like a workout, like 20 of these, 10 of these. If you could hit the 7 or 6 this way, then move into a driver. And just having him set up a station so he has that visualization of everything starting right, kind of that bowler idea or field goal kicking idea, et cetera.
Questions?
Hey.
You just got me today, but I just want to say that you guide them through the changes, and you didn't overwhelm them with numbers, even though you were reciting those for us for our sake, right? I just think that you appeal to his demeanor, to his psychology, and way that he comprehends things in a way that that he was able to execute it. So
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I think that, at the end of the day, the student doesn't care how much you know, if you even know a lot or not. They just want to get better. And so whatever you can do to communicate to them in their own style and kind of what you're understanding from their perspective, and you can kind of size them up at the beginning. I mean, if he hasn't taken a lot of lessons, I mean, he's probably not going to have quite the jargon for that. And for me, less is more. If a player is very inquisitive, I might go into that. But a lot of times I'm like, hey, you're not trying to be a teacher. You don't need to know all this stuff. You only need to know what you need to know. So I'm really big on that. With Sportsbox at Studio Golf, a lot of the students also practice there on their own, and there's 130 data points on Sportsbox, and TrackMan's got a bunch. And so, depending, like in his case, I'd be like, all right, I just want you to focus on, maybe X factor number, and I want you to focus on, obviously path or something on TrackMan. Something very simple. There's like 2 things that they're looking at, and these are the drills. And if the numbers aren't good, this is the drill that will get it better. And after you do the drill, see if it's better, and if it is, then keep doing, that sort of way. So yeah, thank you, appreciate that.
Questions? What happens, so after, right? So you have him, how do you keep in communication, saying, hey, how's it going? How's practice going?
Yeah. I mean, so usually I think with their goal, I then try to suggest, and I always say it depends on time, budget. That way they don't feel awkward or whatever. Because as we know, golf lessons are expensive. Not everyone can come every week. There's juniors where their parents will pay for them to come every day if they could. And there's other ones where it's like they're once a year they get to come, and they really want to get the most out of it. And I think that that's super important too. So, but I would say in an ideal situation, I give them a range. Like I'd like to see at least once a month. I think twice a week would be best starting out. I would like to have you practice at least 5 times between lessons. These are the things I'd like you to work on. In between, and I kind of choke, as long as it doesn't get out of hand, I'd love to have you send me some videos. You always have that 1% that sends you a video every hour on the hour. But I think that that's also helpful because you're along the road with them, and a lot of times if they get off, it sometimes can be something pretty simple. I look at a video for 14 seconds and send them a text, and they can get back on track sometimes, especially if they worked with you before, right? So some of the communication they have early on, but hey, you need to do that lemon stick through the belt loops again. Make sure that you get all the way off that back foot. Oh, okay, because he's too far this way. Easy. If you hadn't learned that before, obviously that'd be very confusing and overwhelming.
So like I said, do you send them what you did today, a video they did?
Great question, yeah.
And then
Yeah, so I send a video voiceover, I send the
text,
TrackMan numbers.
email.
Yeah, exactly. And then I'll also a lot of times just video on my phone the actual drill, and then I'll send them those as well. So send them the drills, send a voiceover of the before and after, some of the numbers, maybe compare it to a tour player just so they can see the difference, especially if there's success. I think it'd be great. Like in his case, the first one, it was, can I see your clip real quick? Thanks. Yeah, take a break. You worked hard. And I wish it was on the TV, but it's fine. When he came in, I mean, the club was about here through the neck, and so that's something that it can obviously show. And very, very upper end of any sort of, even if you're trying to be fade bias, it's still pretty excessive. And so, I mean, coming down, it's going right through his bicep now. It looked really, really good. And so you can show that and put Rory right there and be like, hey, you and Rory are literally in the same place for the most part. And that's going to give him a lot of confidence. It's going to make him feel really good, and it's something that they can kind of take home with them that they're proud of because he obviously worked hard there. He pushed through and made a huge change. And that's sometimes the tough part as an instructor. You can see the pattern change, but we didn't see the result change. In fact, we did see it change. It got worse if you're just looking at that. And that is one thing I do like about video, because I think you can kind of separate the result change from the physical change. And if someone's mature enough like he is to kind of buy into that, they realize it's only a matter of time until all of a sudden, oh, boom, I hit the center of the face, perfect ball flight, finish right at the target. And they can kind of see, okay, this is why I'm here, this is why I'm doing it, and it does work. But not all students are that way, so sometimes you got to sell them on it a little more.
Any other questions, comments?
Jason, you got any questions? Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think just having them always take a step back and be like, at what point, this is one thing McLean was, great at. He's like, just make sure they're successful in some way. So what is success? I mean, is it, can I hit this tee? If you can hit this tee, then you can hit a ball. If you can't hit the tee, then just practice hitting this tee, and that's success. And I've had a lot of success with players like, I'm not saying this for everybody, but if they're in that situation, hey, I don't want you to hit any balls. I want you to hit 50 tees a day for a week and come back and see me. That's generally not the case, obviously, but just kind of explaining to them that, like, break it down to the easiest point where they can feel like, I tell them all the time, like, if we were to bet $1,000 if you could do this or not, what speed would you do it at? They almost always go slower than before, even though maybe the first half of the lesson I'm like, hey, go a little slower, swing a little smoother, hit this 100 yards. Hit this 100 yards, hit it 165 yards. All right, you owe me 10 grand if you hit over 100 yards, hit it 90 yards. They're paying a lot for the lesson. You'd think that they would just listen to you in the first place, but sometimes you got to threaten them. So stuff like that can work. But for sure, I mean, I think a lot of that is the coaching side. I mean, I love the kind of title here, teaching and coaching, because real lessons. I mean, I was at a golf school where that was a little bit more when I started, a little bit more of just like hardcore teaching, get people in for 3 days and, see you later and, 9 to 5 type thing. But in reality, for a lot of us, like, we're seeing the same people, and sometimes we're seeing the same people for 5, 10, 20 years. I mean, you are their coach, and, like, you are part of their family almost. And so I think that that's the coaching side of things is, being there for them and, supporting them and also anticipating what could happen and telling them ahead of time, hey, you might get some of these top shots again. That just means that the club's a little too shallow and swinging up into the ball. And so if that's happening, practice taking divots after the ball. Practice hitting the tee out of the ground, not just clipping the tee, hit the tee out of the ground. Just simple stuff like that. And the minute they do that and they hit a better shot, they're like, all right, I got it. And they, once they trust you, they're usually in pretty good shape.
Great.
Yeah.
Questions over here. You were moving the low point with James during the lesson. Where would you leave the player at the end of the lesson, which I found interesting?
Can you say that one more time?
Ball position.
Yeah.
You were adjusting that during the lesson.
Oh, gotcha.
Where would you leave the player?
I would leave it there. If anything, I'd put it more back, to be honest. But just so if he did get too shallow, he didn't totally top it. Like I said, you don't have to have a perfect swing at the end of the day. And although I'd love them to have, perfect grip, stance, alignment, et cetera, it needs to match up with what their swing's doing at that time for it to work, and then you can adjust later. So if he got really into out, I could then later on put the ball maybe back to where I would want it and get him to maybe rotate through a little bit more, which then neutralizes path out again. So it doesn't have to be everything it's set up is absolutely perfect if, the other stuff doesn't quite give him the result that he needs. So I want to incentivize the new move, not necessarily just give him this perfect setup. But long term, I would change it. Most likely.
Right. So I work at a senior community, 55 and older. They don't like taking practice swings. I've tried. Is that you got to practice. How do you get someone that's willing to pay you but doesn't want to practice and doesn't want to put in the time? And they want you. Now it's like a personal, I've done it. I'm like, I go out there, I'm like, you just want to pay me to talk to me. And I've done that for years. So I worked at a couple senior communities, and this is what they do. So
yeah, I mean,
how do you go there? Because I feel like I'm not giving them their money's worth, but
they're still coming back though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think you gotta, and this was kind of one of my points at the beginning, is like not everybody wants to pass the PAT. Not everybody would go through that or would want to go through that, and you have to understand the person in front of you. And I have a lady, Lori Tallman. If we get 2 shots in during the lesson, that's a win for us. You know what I mean? She knows everything about me. She's awesome. I really love her. And at the end of the day, like, it's just her thing that she does once a week, and I'm her guy for that. And so that's obviously not typical either, but I think it's really important that, you push the student, but within their own comfort zone. And then, maybe as they improve, they actually want a little bit more. I mean, it's not like everyone knows when they first take a lesson exactly, where they're going to get to. I think I've seen a lot of players over time that see some success really, change their opinion on golf and start practicing and playing more, and it, kind of get the bug, right? I mean, that's one thing we love doing. But I would just say try to sprinkle stuff in when you can.